Your boundaries. How does knowing your boundaries represent how much you know yourself? Think about that for a moment. First, what are boundaries? Well, as we grow, situations occur, and over time, we learn through good and bad experiences what we do want and what we don't want. So, in order to prevent it happening again, or to encourage more of the things that we like to come in, we put up boundaries. We lay down our boundaries and say, actually, this is the amount I can drink before I start to feel uncomfortable. When somebody says, no, but stay for another, come on. You go, no, this is my level. I learned that this is my level. And I won't be drinking anymore tonight. But have a great night. That's a boundary. Because you learned from a negative experience, when you go over that boundary, it's not good for you. And you don't want to experience that again. So, life taught you what your boundaries are. And then, as a result, when we know our boundaries, we move more towards things that give us pleasure, joy, and we're able to connect more with the things that are aligned with who we are. So, why then is it such a challenge to activate our boundaries at times? Well, there can be a lot of reasons. Family is a big one. Friends, long-term friends, relationships, romantic or not, close relationships, that we, for one reason or another, decide to lower our boundaries, allow certain people to cross them, but put expectations on the back of that. Maybe we didn't communicate what we were doing ahead of lowering that boundary, so the person wasn't aware. I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with a gentleman one night. We were out celebrating somebody's birthday, and he was frustrated. He was like, oh, I'm so annoyed. My friend, who I've known from childhood, has embarrassed me for the last time. I invited him out. I asked him not to get so drunk. But once again, he's falling over the place. He's made a mess of himself. Now I'm trying to get him in a taxi. He's not getting in the taxi. Taxis don't want to take him. It's an absolute nightmare. He's ruined my night. So annoyed at him. And I don't know, maybe he was expecting a different response from me. But I said, okay, so you've known him for most of his life. Yeah, since childhood. Yeah. And he's done this before? Oh, loads of times, all the time. But, you know, I told him this is important, and I wanted him to, you know, behave and be on his best behaviour, and he said he would, but he's not. Yeah. And you're blaming him? And he gave me this confused look. Like, yeah. I mean, he's acting up. And I said, yeah. It's something that we're going to need to look at again from maybe a different perspective, because you had all the information ahead of time that told you who this person was. But from the great scholar Maya Angelou, who once said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. He showed you who he was from childhood. Unreliable, a bit of a liability. But he hasn't changed. What did change is that you were expecting a miracle. And you opened up the doors expecting a miracle, and it didn't show up. But he is true to type. So the only adjustment here is understanding that you were expecting him to be something that he's kind of shown you several times that he's not capable of being. So when you allowed this to happen but expected something else, you might well need to take some responsibility for that, because you lowered your boundaries. That was the line you drawn, but I'm gonna expect a different result. Turning the table around on ourselves and looking at how we contribute to the situations, issues that we have in our lives, ourselves, is not an easy thing to do. That's why we tend to avoid it. And that's okay, no judgment. We want to learn, because this guy, he wasn't enjoying that experience. This was not pleasurable for him. But he maybe wasn't aware that he was actually actively inviting it in. So we left it at that. He had a new awakening. Hopefully in the future, he's more aware how he's contributing to his own life experience. So when we have a boundary that we consciously decide to lower for one reason or another, it's important to know that you must take full responsibility for everything that happens once you make that choice, because it's always your choice. These are your boundaries. No one's going to respect them if you don't respect your own boundaries. I mean, they're not going to go, no. I really don't want to do what's right for me. I want to help you, but you don't respect your own boundaries, so they're going to take the opportunity. Not everyone, but the majority. We're talking about majorities here. If you don't respect your own boundaries, don't be surprised when other people walk all over you or walk all over them, and in return, you. So why is it so hard? I mean, you've had these experiences. You know what you like and what you don't like, but yet you're not standing up for yourself. That doesn't make sense, right? Well, there's often more to it. In the introduction to this talk, I played the song. Just don't want to be lonely. And oftentimes, that's the reason people delay activating their boundaries. Because there's fear there. There's fear that as humans, we all want to connect. We want to find people that are aligned with us, like-minded people. If we're putting up boundaries and walls all the time, and this is my level, we're just going to cut ourselves off from everyone. Well, ask yourself, are your boundaries reasonable? Over this line I don't like, behind this line I do like, I put the line here. It's reasonable. So why would you fear being alone by doing what's right for you? Something to think about. If you are, say, in a relationship, regardless of what type, family, friend, romantic, other, and you put up a boundary, you say, actually, that's not okay with me. This is my expectation. And that other person says, no, doesn't work for me. If they choose to walk away, is that such a bad thing? Because here's the other option. Depending on how you put up that boundary, not in a heated argument, but as a generalist, this is what I like, this is what works for me. So taking away any drama that came with that. Just a simple fact of, this brings me joy, that does not bring me joy. If you are in a situation with somebody who then says, actually, no, I prefer to take you on a path that doesn't bring me joy, wouldn't you think that that's better that they are not in your presence, regardless of the emotional attachment you feel towards them? It's really best that they are limited from your environment. Because there's also another choice. That person has an option to take some time to reflect, say, actually, I'm willing to step up. I wasn't showing up as my best self. You need this, and I'm willing to deliver that. And that could be a sign for you that this person actually really is connected with being in your life long term. And they're willing to do the work that is needed to live up to what you need to see to bring you joy and happiness. And then that you see, if you put up a boundary, but then you lower it, but then you put it up, but then you lower it again, and then you're angry that the person has walked over it, there's nobody to blame but yourself. Because what you're really doing is giving out very mixed messages. And that person doesn't really know where you stand. So they are just going to take a punt. Well, let me get away with it 5 or 6 or 10 other times. I mean, yeah, they were annoyed, but then they always came around. So I'm going to try it again. Because it's better for me, not them. Are they wrong? You haven't really been clear. So there's no fear in standing up for yourself, knowing your boundaries. But when you don't, and when that shows up in your life quite a lot, What can that mean? Well, my experience can mean that you don't really know yourself as well as maybe you thought. There might be a little bit more work to do with aligning yourself with yourself and your own opinions. You might be in what we call people-pleasing state, a twisted version of yourself that you've created to please other people. But when it actually comes to what you want and what you need, you're not actually sure what it is because you're too busy serving other people's needs and feeling depleted and disappointed. So the question you might have to ask yourself now is, why don't I stand by my convictions? Why don't I remember the pain I had that maybe put this boundary up in the first place and feel myself important enough to never cross over that again? Because when I do, I welcome in pain. But yet, I'm prioritizing their pain over my pain. And then I'm expecting them to feel bad about it, when actually I'm not even standing up for myself. It can be really tough to kind of get to grips with that, because then you start thinking, well, I want to be a good person. I want to serve. I want to help other people. But helping people does not mean you have to destroy yourself in the process. When you're on a plane, if you've ever taken a flight, they do this announcement and they say, please, in case of emergency, put on your mask before helping anyone else with theirs. This is exactly the same. If you're on the plane and you're losing oxygen, but you're serving the 10, 15 people around you to put all eye masks on, very soon you're going to run out of oxygen and you're going to pass out. But you took a moment before you started and you put your own mask on. Not only can you serve all the people around you, but even further extended whilst you're breathing in air. Serving yourself first is not selfish. There's something in you, if you're challenged with this part of boundary setting, there's something in you that you maybe need to sit with and just ask yourself, why do I find it so difficult to stand up for myself and follow through with what's important to me? Put other people's needs before myself because I feel I'm not worthy. I feel that's selfish. I just want to help people. It's not much, I don't mind. But if as a result of making those choices, you're not getting any pleasure, any sustained pleasure out of life, and you keep on seeing things showing up again and again that aren't working for you, you probably want to address that sooner rather than later. Because you deserve to live the life that you want, where everyone isn't crossing your boundaries and you're able to experience the feeling of joy, elation, pleasure, excitement. When you feel you don't, then it's probably telling you that you need to maybe turn the mirror on yourself But like that guy who wasn't aware that he was actually opening the door to his friend being this person. He was letting it in. So what are you letting in that you don't like? Were you aware that you were just opening the door to it by not setting your boundaries ahead of time and communicating them? Because that's the key as well. You've got to communicate them ahead of time. Nobody's a mind reader. Well, you should have known. I don't have to tell you. Yes, you do. You do. Because if you were challenged with knowing your own boundary, how do you expect the other person to know? So once you've made that decision, find a way to communicate it. This is a need that you have to feel loved, to feel joy, to feel yourself. And if that person or that situation is right, they'll step up to meet you where you are, because they don't want to lose you either. But if they're not, it might be time to just let it go. Wish it well on its way, but let it go. You think, well, I'm just going to be on my own. Just going to be on my own with all my boundaries and no one to talk to. That's not the case. From where you are, there's this one other thing you might not be aware of. First thing is, yes, you may well lose some friends, relationships, by putting up your boundaries. It actually causes some people around you who've been quite used to taking advantage, walking all over you, it actually causes them to retaliate quite strongly. Who do you think you are? It's not fair. I used to be able to take advantage of you. Why won't you let me take advantage anymore? They won't say it like that, but ultimately that's what they're saying. Who are you to get a backbone now? I'm used to getting my own way. It's never too late to put up your boundaries. And when you're getting all of that resistance from those around you, use it as a sign that you're on the right path. Because standing up for your pleasure, for your enjoyment of life, is never a bad thing. When you know what you don't want, you stand up for it and you stand firm, that's a sign that you're moving forward. You're getting to know yourself. And yes, you may lose some relationships, but the key important ones, the ones that truly loved you for who you were, not for what you were doing for them or how pliable you were, those ones will come back when they realize you mean business. Because they don't want to lose you either. But they're just not used to it yet. So just give them a little bit of time to adjust. And hold firm. They will come around. The right ones. So then you're going to think, well, gosh, I'm so lonely. I put up all these boundaries and now nobody's talking to me. Well, no biggie. Maybe you needed this time to spend by yourself, to get to know yourself, to check in with yourself, to reassess. Do you like who you are? Who you've become? Are you hanging on to relationships and friendships because of what you could do for them. Now when you stop doing things and you're alone, you think this is a bad thing, so now you're going to go back to where you were before. No. Spend a bit of time on your own if you have to. But know this, and this is the sweet part. Yes, there may be a period where you're shifting friendship circles. You're getting to know yourself. There's this beautiful thing that happens. When one door closes, and you're thinking about that door closing and the loss, this other thing happens. When you stand firm in what's right for you and your truth, regardless of what's happening around you, from nowhere that you could ever even have imagined, this other door appears. And you're like, well, where was that? I didn't know that was possible. And it's full of friends that get you, people that don't want to cross your boundaries, people that align with you and who want to be around you and who fill you with joy, who don't make you feel depleted, who match you on every level and actually want the best for you. And you think, wow, God, why was I in that position for so long? I didn't know this thing existed. You've got to get through this bit first. But that other part is always there. You just can't see it from here. When you're in this depleted, people-pleasing, no boundaries, disappointment state, that door is nowhere to be seen. But if you have faith and belief, it can appear, and it will appear. But don't expect to know the outcomes all the time as you're going through this period of growth and realization. Because when you do start working on yourself, and you do start aligning with who you are, yes, you're going to get friction and pushback from other people, but mostly you'll get it from yourself. Just know that that's a sign that you're onto something. When you're really resisting, it's your ego kind of going, no, I was comfortable there. You go, no. I know this is right for me. And you know, there was another song that was played at the beginning of this. It was, we've got a good thing going. And that's what will happen. We've got a good thing going with you, with me, myself, and I. Getting to know yourself means getting to know your boundaries. It means standing up for yourself and knowing ahead of time, this is what I want, this is who I am, these are my needs, and I'm happy to communicate with them with you. If we don't agree, that's okay. I respect you. Please respect my wishes, my needs, and my boundaries. You can say that simply from a position of confidence, of knowing, and it resonates with people around you. They know who you are because you know who you are. You attract more like-minded people. The world starts showing you more and more this beautiful, juicy life that matches who you truly are. So just know your boundaries, working on them, showing up for yourself is your first step to truly being who you were always meant to be. Your truly fulfilled self, living your life, being happy, and knowing who you are, and that being okay. So yeah, you got a good thing going. Get to know yourself. It's not a promise. Speak again soon.